Welcome in another edition of the Dirt Racing Podcast. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Dirt Racing Podcast. Today is the second episode of the week where we'll be recapping the World 100 and previewing that starts tonight, the Knoxville Late Model Nationals. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome our guest. He works here at the racetrack, Chris Krug, and also will be calling Saturday night's other attraction. How's it going, Chris?
Doing well. I'm pleased to be on the show today. I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
And then let's talk about, I know you work for My Race Pass, and you got to go last week to the Super Nationals a couple days.
Yeah, that was my second trip out there, actually. And that's an event you really got to just really go to really experience in full. Because, when you think of big events, you think of, maybe, on a national stage, you think of like the World 100, they get like 80 cars. Or you think of Knoxville Nationals, they get, we got 105, recently was our highest number we had in a while. But you can't even imagine 800 race cars, all in one little small racetrack like this. And, if you love racing, the green flag drops at about 1 o'clock every day, and they're not done until about midnight, and it's just straight through. So that's an event you got to see to believe.
Yeah, and then you work here all the time, and then you do I-80.
Yeah, a busy schedule. Honestly, it's pretty crazy. My life in summertime is not much of one, actually. Full time at My Race Pass, Monday through Fridays, and then of course when I have to travel once in a while. And then Friday nights I work for the Kaziskis at I-80 Speedway down there, and I've been there for now 4 years. Year 5 is next year. It's hard to believe that, actually. NASCAR or Nebraska's only NASCAR sanctioned racetrack, and me being a big late model guy to begin with, I love calling the supers out there. It's always a great show. And then after Friday nights are done, I'll drive to Omaha, crash the parents' place for the night, head to Knoxville on Saturdays, and get out here and then call some amazing sprint car racing on Saturday nights with Tony Bachko.
Yeah, before you started up there, you worked for K&I KRLS for a year?
I did, yeah. I was actually in the infield. I worked with Derek Cardwell, who's an amazing pit reporter. K&I KRLS, been there for I want to say over 20 years now. But just the guy is a walking encyclopedia of sprint car racing. He is phenomenal at what he does, and I learned a lot from him the first year. And after that first year kind of wound down, I heard that Blake Anderson was moving to North Carolina. Had a job up there at the time with, I believe, World Racing Group. And so I got to know Mike Roberts and Tony Bachhoven, the guys that were on staff as the announcers there. I know them pretty well, and I just kind of asked, how do I get involved? How do I put my name in there for the chance to be up in the booth with you guys? And they said, funny you asked, because we were going to come to you about that. So it kind of worked out. And I know Tony well, interviewed for the job, and I got the job. And, I've been blessed ever since. And, I don't think people can appreciate enough that job of calling races up there. Even when you have it, you bust your butt to study and know the drivers, but you still just can't appreciate enough what job you have in racing up there.
And then let's get to Saturday. The undercard for this Nationals is
Melbourne Bank. Yeah, the Melbourne Bank Late Model Series. Joe Kaziski and the Kaziskis in general, Steve as well, and Lisa, his daughter. They really worked hard to get this event here. Joe and Steve are really close with John here at Knoxville Raceway. John does a fantastic job at what he does here at Knoxville, and they've had a close relationship. They've worked on many co-events. The USAC show a couple of years ago. It started off at I-80 on Friday, then they moved to Knoxville on Saturday, and Joe and John got together and said, hey, how do we make this work in both tracks here to where they can come into a two-race swing? And it worked out great. And so that relationship became what this weekend is. This is my favorite event every year, the Lucas Oil Late Model Knoxville Nationals, and I love it. But you got to be blind not to understand the car counts were getting down there. They were getting kind of low, and it was getting kind of scary. And there was one year, I think the year before Melbourne Bank came in, we almost only had a B and an A. That was it on Saturday night. There wasn't going to be a C or a D. Well, we were thinking of solutions and what we could do. And Joe said, hey, what if we have a special invite race only? For my guys, it's an all late model weekend. It's a different kind of class. And it worked out. It was perfect. They came out, they ran their 2 heats and the feature, and it was a great. And actually, if John hears this, I apologize, but I think the Melbourne Bank race last year was almost better than the main event on Saturday night for Lucas Oil. If you remember, Tad Pospisil and Kyle Burton getting together door to door at the line for the win was just an incredible finish.
And then they made one rule change this year that you can run both.
You can run both on Saturday night now. Yes, and so that's going to be great because you always want to give your guys, even in your own series, an opportunity to compete at the highest level possible. I really think with that series, Melbourne Bank, what they got going on this year, and what they've done the past couple of years to get that car count up has been incredible. And it's honestly become one of the premier Midwest late model shows in the country, flat out. And I really think in the future it's going to grow to higher. They have an amazing sponsor with Melbourne Bank coming on board that really wants to grow that series because he knows that series, when it grows, his company and bank's going to grow. So he sees what Joe's vision is, and it's going to lay things out, I think, in the long run. There was 2 years ago, they were getting an average car count of 30 cars a night, and it's incredible what they're doing. Counts are a little down this year, but not going to change the amazing action you're going to see on Saturday night.
And it's a complete show.
Yeah, complete show. You're going to run heats. You're going to run your features. You're going to come out here. I think I want to say there's 24 involved or something, maybe a little more than that involved in there.
It's like 32.
It's 32 now. Okay, so it's up now.
Yeah.
So basically the way it works, of course, it's an invite or you have to kind of race your way into the show. If you're top 10 in the point standings at I-80 Speedway's Cubby's Convenience Store Super Late Model Series, you are locked in. If you want to race on the Melbourne Bank or want to race at I-80 Speedway, you're locked in. And if you're top 10, in the Melbourne Bank standings, you're locked in as well. And so it kind of works out that way. There's a couple of special invites as well to where, hey, I want a special race here, I'm in as well. So it kind of worked out that way too.
Yeah, it's like you'll see Ricky Thornton, I know, is in there.
Yep. Ricky Thornton, of course, I saw him a lot last week.
Yeah.
He just won the IMCA Deere Brother Chevrolet portion of the Super Late Models or Late Models up there. It was a great show he had. Man, that guy can drive, can he?
Yeah.
That's an 8-second lead at the line when he came to checker flag at Boone last week.
Yeah. And then like the Iron Man local talent, Dale DeFrance.
Dale DeFrance will be in there as well. Of course, you're going to see some big names here. You're going to see Tad. You're going to see Kyle Burke. You're going to see Bill Layton as well. One of the guys I want to keep an eye on, I think he's locked into the show, is Josh Leonard. He's going to be a big name that really came on extremely strong toward the end of the year on both the Melbourne Bank side and on the I-80 Speedway side. And I think if he was to compete all season long at I-80, he might be our point champion.
And then you have a family member in it too.
I do, yes. Josh Krug, of course, former ARCA Remax Series and NASCAR Nationwide Series driver. He's going to be based in here again. I was on the call last year for that race with Anthony Ainsley, and it was great. I've done a lot of things with my cousin over the years, traveling and watching him race at Daytona, Talladega, and Kansas, all those places around the country. But to be in the booth calling that race while he won his heat race, it's just a heat race, I get it, but still, to call that race, call his name across the line, that was honestly, it's going to be hard to top that my broadcasting career, that's for sure. That was a special moment. He's excited about it. Last year, was a tough year for the team. I think we finished 7th in the points. It was not our best year, obviously. And I talked to him after the show, and I said, "Well, what do you think?" And they do. It's the most fun I had all year. I just came out here. I didn't care. I just came out and drove. This was awesome, And so we're excited for it again. Hopefully in the next maybe 2 years, we might be seeing us here all 3 days. I don't know. And maybe full time on that. We'll see.
And then what's some bigger events? I know we're done here, but I has some races.
Yeah, we have one of Nebraska's biggest motorsport events coming up. Obviously, the Silver Dollar Nationals is the cream of the crop in Nebraska, money-wise. But tradition-wise, we do have the Cornhusker Classic coming up here. The Cornhusker Classic goes back to the 1970s at the old Sunset Speedway. They moved over to I-80 Speedway. And, that's one of the most prestigious events for the regional guys to get the job done and win that. It's a high-paying event, too, not so much for just the purse or the winner's purse, but we're paying the heats again. I think the modifieds get like $300 to win their heat, $200 for second, $100 for third. Same thing with all the way down the line. You're getting money for all your heats and everything, too. And that's coming up here soon. I believe October 16th is the date for that one. It's a 3-day show, 4 days if you can practice on that. But that's an event coming up here shortly as well. And with that, too, the Fall Brawl was canceled this year, unfortunately. They weren't able to reschedule that one. Disappointing as it might be, Mother Nature just, it's had its way this year,
Big time. while we're talking, let's go back to season championship night here.
Here on
Yeah.
yes, it was definitely a fun weekend that weekend, of course. We had a lot of great drivers go on this year, and in the past you usually see Clint Garner at the top up there. Wasn't his year this year. The last time he was not on the 360 point championship was I think 3 years ago when Matt Morrow got the win. Morrow didn't win any races, but it was all about consistency. And at the 410 Blackjack, Brian Brown got it done. Had a great year this year as well. And of course, Omaha's own Matthew Selzer got the win again. He actually started out 5-0 in the year. He won the first 5 features, and the night he didn't win, I was in the scoring count scores, and they set the lineups up for the feature, and they go, "Oh crap!" And then John McCoy looks behind him and goes, "What?" He goes, "Well, 99's on the pole again, so here goes number 6." And sure enough, he doesn't win the race. So, but he actually, we pretty much knew he was going to win the feature or the points coming into that night. And I'm sure if he did. And then with Brian Brown, all he had to do was show up and qualify, and he got the job done there.
But the show was the 360s with double features.
Double features, and came down to it because honestly, it came down to Carson McCarl, our points champion. Now, of course, the legacy continues. He's a points champion, and it was a tough break because Ryan Giles was looking good for the better portion of the season, honestly, and just couldn't quite get it done in the end there. But yeah, it was a bad deal to where Giles had some issues going into the second heat or feature, and the crazy thing was the first feature, honestly, where Carson was going for the win, and Battle McKenna Hassey, who had a great run going. Final turn one comes around, and there's a car in front of McKenna Hassey that will remain nameless and might have been helping out that 27 a little bit. And sure enough, in the right spot at the right time, and Carson goes around the top and gone. So
yeah,
it was a great race, though. Fantastic.
And then that night was fighting the rain.
Yeah, we're fighting as we have all year. I mean, it's crazy. We're fighting the rain there. We were kind of thinking I may not get it in actually because I think we actually did get some rain there for a while. On the way home, I got hammered with rain the whole way home to Omaha that night, and that's been the story this year. I think we had a total of 8 rainouts, so it might be one high there. I think we had 8 rainouts, and fingers crossed tonight may not be number 9. We'll see though. As we say that, we're looking at little clouds over there, so we'll see how it goes. But that was a nationwide problem, and I don't think people and fans realize how big of a problem it was because some tracks, I know of 1 or 2 tracks for sure are closed down because they didn't have the revenue coming in that are done. Now, there's none in Nebraska. There's one Nebraska way out west, of course, with Lincoln County, unfortunately. Yeah. I think that was a different issue. That was, they were going to be done anyway. But there were tracks across the country that Wisconsin, and there was one down Oklahoma that they had to cancel the first 5 weeks of the season. And after that, they had no budget. They were done because they didn't get any revenue coming in.
And that was it. Lakeside being closed.
Lakeside closed, but the good news is, I'm sure you saw their first night. They had a line out the highway, getting people in. People wanted to go racing there so bad, and it was great to see the drone shot of the blinkers were packed full, and they still had a line from here to Casey's trying to get in. And man, that's amazing to see the support that dirt tracks get for that.
And then I know Peevely got hit too hard.
Yeah, Peevely did as well. Thankfully, the Ironman got in though just before Knoxville Nationals. That's always a tradition. They go to Peevely, they come up here. My Aussie friends always come up here. They always go to Peevely first, watch the Ironman. It's a great show, and no different this year. I'm drawing a blank. I think Rico won again. I'm drawing a blank here.
Sheldon,
that's right. He smoked him. He was nearly going to lap. He had to have, except the lead he had was over 9 or 10 seconds, and you run 12-second laps. So you had to have second place in your sights if you're that far ahead on a 12-second track. That's right. So that was nice. He just took off and was gone.
And then the other show to recommend during the Nationals here, the Sunday night Cappy.
Yeah, it's become a massively popular event, very popular because it's the last tune-up before Nationals. Not obviously a lot of the guys aren't going to be in there. Donnie Schatz doesn't race that. He kind of takes the night off, and you got a couple other guys that aren't going to race that race traditionally. But for the guys like my perfect example of why that race is important is because 2 years ago when Brad Sweet won the Knoxville Nationals, you got the feeling he was going to do that on the Cappy Classic night because going into the night, the whole week, it was all Donnie Schatz as usual. Here comes Brad Sweet. and he does the pole shuffle. He was the first car out of the 7 or 8 car field, and he smoked every one of them, all 8 of them. Then he smokes the field in the feature, wins the Cappy Classic. That raised eyebrows, like, wait a minute, hold on here. This is a pretty fast car. What do we got going on here? Shots looks like Shots, but Brad looked like Shots of the old, and Brad ends up getting the feature 2 years ago. That's why that race, I think, is so important.
Yeah, and this year you had most of the Outlaws, but like 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think the shocking thing this year was how average Donnie looked. He didn't look like Donnie at all. He was really never in contention. He was in the B main on his preliminary night. He had to get out of that, and he never really was in contention. I think he was an eighth place finish. And for any other driver out there, hell yeah, 8th place. I'm getting a hell of a payday. I think it's almost 50 grand. But for Donnie, when he won 10 of the past 12 here, that's terrible. That's not what you want to do. So. It's how average he looked, and then also the story, of course, with Jason Johnson Racing getting the win there. Gravel was speechless, literally, because he got out of the car and there was no words. And to have Jax there with him, to have Bobby with him, the tears, the crying, all that, and it was a great story, a great way to end the season, the night there for David to get that win. Don't forget, David Gravel 3 years ago was probably going to win this race. His car was fast, came off turn 4, up in smoke, done. Very unfortunate, but even, he was a second and a half faster than the entire field before it happened. They weren't going to catch him. I know there were 25 laps to go. They weren't going to catch him. And that was great redemption for him to get that thing done when he couldn't do it at the big game freestand car.
And then do you have a prediction for this weekend?
This weekend's going to be fun. It's so up in the air. I think it amazes me that when you look at this series and this event is so much more different than it is with the sprint car sides. Not because of speeds and all that, because you don't see those long runs that you see in sprint cars where Donnie wins 5 in a row, wins 6 in a row. You don't have that here. Mike Marlar, who it was an upset when he won his first one, is the only driver to win 2 in a row. That's it. The average finish for any driver after winning this race, the following year is 10th. I mean, so it's shocking. It's you don't have those long drive runs like you do when you have everything else like the sprint cars. To pick a winner, I couldn't even put a finger on it. I know I got some drivers I'm interested in watching. Of course, I got my old boss down here, Roger Sellers, with Shannon Buckingham and Double Down. They're here this weekend, so I'm excited to see them and what they can do. I think they're in contention for Rookie of the Year this year at the event, so that'll be fun to watch them. With JD coming off of the World last week, I mean, how do you not put him as the potential favorite coming into this thing?
But he's never had luck.
He has not. No, and of course the big question, this event here with with Josh Richards, it's starting to become the Tony Stewart question. Tony never won at Daytona. Stewart never won there. Is Josh ever going to win at Knoxville? He's had so many great cars. He damn near became the second driver to ever sweep all 3 nights. But Darrell Lanigan put a stop to that a couple of years ago on championship night. Josh won both their prelim nights there. But just couldn't quite get it on Saturday. So I would say maybe JD, but then you got to look at the guys that won this thing twice, and it's going to, it's hard to pick a winner out.
Yeah, and the different thing between the 360 and the 410 versus this, you can run both nights.
On the for sprint cars, yeah, or
for here.
Oh yes, absolutely. You can run both nights for sure here, and with 360 nationals, 410 nationals, you got your qualifying night, and that's it. Here, you're getting your 2 nights here. There's no points for Lucas Oil except for Saturday night. That's it. Thursday, Friday, there are no points for that. But and then of course Saturday night's Melbourne Bank as well. They'll have points for that show. So you can run both nights here for 360 nationals and 410 nationals. You get 1 night, and that's it. Don't mess it up.
It's the same point structure as that, but it's the best of.
Best of, exactly. Yeah. So it's not a combination. It's best of. So if you go out there and you win everything, you can technically park it if you want, but the money on the line and everything, you don't want to do that. You want to go out there and be competitive in the race as well.
And then a couple more questions for you.
Yeah.
The USAC show here, that was amazing.
Yes, it was. Brady Bacon. So he really, he's one of the more dominant USAC drivers right now, doing a great job. Of course, during Southern Iowa Speed Week as well, he was out at Oskaloosa, took the back road challenge for Oskaloosa on that Tuesday night there, and went from 24th to 14th and a half a lap, which is incredible. And then from, it doesn't matter if he's racing against 360s and 305s, obviously, in the 410s or toward the front, but still won the show from the back, picked up an extra $5,000 for doing so. Came out here, and there was never any question what he was going to do out here. He was the fastest on Friday night, even faster on Saturday night, and smoked him there. So that event's got a ways to go to grow, but I think it can get there. Wingless racing here has always been great in the past. It took a couple of years off of that, obviously. The track's got to be right. Obviously, with a wingless car, you want more of a tacky track with that, so the tires can dig into the ground and take off and go. You don't want that dry slickness because you're just going to spin your tires, downforce, get the car down on the ground. So it was a little dry slick that night, but still Brady came out there and he was nearly half a track out and just smoked them all. That was a great show. The crowd was great for it, and we're sure it's going to grow as time goes on.
And it's big money for them.
It is. It really is. A great show, 10 grand on that one, and then with Saturday night, of course, and to do the double nights there, Friday and Saturday. It's a great show too. I know they're working with I-80 again to try and get an I-80 date out there. They come out here to the Corn Belt. So this place, no matter what you run, is going to be great to win at. I've seen guys on the flat track motorcycles come out here and cry because they won in Knoxville. I've seen guys in enduros come out here and freak out because they won in Knoxville. I've seen everything right here, and that's just the place it is. This place in Eldora have that feel to it, where no matter what you're in, if I'm in a foot race and I won in Knoxville, I'm going to be happy about it.
And my final question is on the Pro Series here.
Yeah.
Do we see that car count getting bigger?
It's gonna be interesting how it goes. The Pace Performance Pro Series, of course, it's for those that may not know, it's the new 305 series in Knoxville. It's not the 305s at Knoxville have not been a 305 for a couple of years, a true 305. So we just kept the name, and now we're going with this Pace Performance Pro Series, which every single engine is the exact same, everything. So what it comes down to is what you run for gears, what you run for, your driving ability and all that. So it's limited the ability of some drivers to be able to compete because they already had an old motor, they can't afford a new one. It's interesting. I think it will grow over time. It's going to take some time. The 305s didn't grow that fast out here either. I mean, we were getting maybe 3 cars less than we are now, or 3 cars more than we are now. That's it. So it's going to take some time, and it's hard to say if it's a feeder series where you start here and grow because some drivers stay in that series forever. Others do go out. Christian Bowman was one of them. McKenna Hassey's one that started 305s. Jace Jenkins and all those guys, they were in 305s. But then again, you have Matthew Stelzer, who's been in a 305 since he was born pretty much. Yeah. He has no intentions of getting out of it. And so it's all about personal experience and personal preference that we want to do. But in the long run, I think it will grow, and we'll see how it goes from there.
And you plan on being back on the mic next year?
Because I always tell every fan, if John McCoy was here, I look to my left and ask him. I always do this here. Anytime someone asks me, "You back at Knoxville next year?" I look at John. I don't know. Am I? Okay, good. I'm back next year, I guess. So as long as they want me here, I'm here. And like I said, it's a dream come true to be up here. When I got hired, I was more like David Gravel. I didn't know what to say. Because I was just a kid out of college that worked at Donovan in Mid-Nebraska Speedway with the late Brad Fosberg, and then I went down to Tennessee, got my very first ever loaner job, I guess, as an announcer at Smoky Mountain Speedway. And I took a wing and a prayer at a small radio station because the only reason why is because they covered the races here. And I just worked my way up there. I got to know people. And then, I got to know the media side of the world. And I've met great people like this guy behind me over here, over here. And knowing everyone involved in the sport, it's incredible. And, as long as they want me here, I'm here. It's been great working with Tony Bachhoven on a weekly basis and Mike Roberts. Both of them have become great friends of mine, and almost family members. There are nights where you get into it some nights because it's stressful, but if the heat gets to you. But then to work with the guys like John Gibson and to work with everyone else, like we're working with tonight with Ben and the DOD crew, all those guys. Even if you're 1 night a week, it's awesome. So. I'm happy here, and as long as they want me here, I'm going to be here. So.
And plus the Dirt Vision deal this year.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was great. It was a great turnaround. I had great friends at Cushion.com. I'm sorry it didn't work out with them, and they have a great thing going in Pennsylvania. And no doubt that company's going to take off in more ways than one. They're doing a great job up there with Ryan and the crew. The Dirt Vision side of things, what they brought into this broadcast, are things that we had not seen before in our sport as far as the broadcast capabilities go, and it was amazing to have the look-in parties. Like, so if an outlaw show's going on and you subscribe just to that, and they're under a long delay or something, they bring up Knoxville. Hey, while you're hanging out, here's Knoxville's live feed. Check it out. Or back to Green, back to the outlaw show, and they'll put in the corner here. And then, in the past, we always had to go there for scheduling for the interviews, a live broadcast for nationals. We'd always sit there and tell them, hey, the camera's going to be on you. Go ahead and do it while we're calling the races. Well, now we can have the camera on the cars and a camera on the guys down there like they do on TV. It's things like that. And I think the impact of the big time was Brian Brown's engine change. When Brian had to pull out real fast to the pits, go to the back again and change an engine, get the drone fired up, follow them out there. Let's get it out there. So the live feed what was going on while we're calling a race here, and the fans got the in-depth look at all that stuff too.
And thanks for coming on, and welcome back anytime.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's going to be a great week. You're here all weekend, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Up above.
Up above. Yep. Have you seen the Brian Clausen Sweet Tower yet?
I've been through there.
Awesome. Yeah, check it out. This whole weekend, he's got to soak it up. Enjoy all 3 days of it. And I know that I wish there was more late model racing here. I get crap all the time from my friends and from fans and staff here because this is my favorite event of the year. It flat out is. I grew up on this class. I know these guys more than I know our own sprint car guys, more or less. Not the, I wouldn't say the Lucas Oil guys, the Melbourne Bank guys. And, it's an amazing event, some of the best racing you see all year. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Now joining us is Ben Shelton, and Ben has several news items to talk about first.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think the biggest news item of the day has got to be back at Knoxville with Lucas Oil Late Model Knoxville Nationals. Beautiful day here to kick things off. Hard to believe it's already year 16. So I think that's obviously the biggest news. And yeah, it's been a big week for Dirt on Dirt with the news that the acquisition by Flow Sports, and a lot of excitement about that. It's going to allow us to do a lot of things in the future, a lot of different types of sports. Michael Rigsby, previous owner of Dirt on Dirt, is now the general manager of Flow Sports, and kind of putting everybody together. There's a lot of big announcements to come. It's an exciting time not only for Dirt on Dirt but dirt track racing as a whole.
And then you do your thing.
Yeah, my business has been very good. I own a website and PR company out of Memphis, MSR Mafia, and about 180 clients here in the States and Canada and Australia now, from tracks to series, and that's been really good to me. And then, of course, the announcing thing. Last week I was announcing at the World 100 at Eldora. Tonight and tomorrow night I'll be here at Knoxville Raceway, and life is pretty good right now. Getting to do a lot of fun stuff.
And then let's recap the whole.
Well, the world, it was Brewster Baker. It was six-pack style. Jonathan Davenport, he's been super against the inverts and the formats with the inverts over the past few months, very vocal on social media. But, I think last weekend he finished first, second, and first on the nights with the invert. And, of course, he got his third World 100 title on his first with Lance Landers Racing. So that was a special moment. And, of course, in that 49 car, the tribute to Brewster Baker, the movie Six-Pack, and sold every T-shirt in the trailer. It was such a big hit. They brought it here to Knoxville this weekend. They're going to run that wrap again. They got the T-shirt trailer restocked. A lot of excitement for that team because he's won pretty much every big race, but he has never won this race here at Knoxville.
Maybe that will change.
He's definitely thinking it is. That team's got a lot of speed, a lot of consistency. They've got almost a 600-point lead in the Lucas Oil standings. He's going after his third title with them, and it's definitely been a big year for that team. I think they're up to 17 or so wins now, so it's been a huge, huge year for Jonathan Davenport, but he's a guy that likes getting those wins he's never got, and Knoxville is one of them.
Any win here is special.
Well, anytime you come here, just to be a fan here means a lot to come in this place, and you just see this amazing venue and what it represents and what it's all about. So as a racer, to step onto that victory stage in front of this massive grandstand, that's everything. It's history. Of course, we're right above the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, and I'm a guy that grew up in Memphis on sprint cars. I still love sprint cars. Every time I come here, I get to the Hall of Fame. We've got a lot of Memphis drivers in there. And to come to Knoxville at any point, I don't care what division it is something that's very special.
Yeah, and then the format this week's the typical points.
It's all about the points. Every time you hit the track, whether it's qualifying, your heat race, if you don't make it out of your B main or the feature, and of course it all ramps up towards Saturday. And everybody wants to be locked into that feature when Saturday rolls around. They don't want to be in a B main. But we see it here at Knoxville. I don't care if you're starting on the pole or if you're starting 30th. If you're in that show 100 laps here, is an eternity. It can go forever. And if you're in the show, you're going to have a chance to win here. If your car is good, you can come to the front. If your car is not good, you're probably going to get passed by a lot of guys. Knoxville's truly a place where man and machine separate themselves from somebody else if you've got everything where it needs to be.
Yeah. And going back, in Brandon Shepard's year, he could be another one.
He's had an amazing year, tied for the all-time most wins in a single season by Will Dowell's driver. He's got 18 with that tour now. He's got 23 wins overall. Of course, he won the Dirt Late Model Dream this year. He went and won the Dirt Million. Yeah, he's had a couple of six-figure paydays already mixed in. But that team, that Mark Richards Racing #1, they've won pretty much here. They've never won the finale. Brandon's never won the finale. They would like to change that here this weekend. They were pretty disappointed after last week at the World. They felt like they had a chance to get their first World 100. Cards didn't fall that way, so they come here this weekend looking to get another crown jewel.
And the only time it's been repeated, Mike Marlar 2 years in a row.
Mike Marlar was the only guy to repeat it. He did it in 16 and 17, but I had a lot of people ask me who to watch this weekend. I really believe Jimmy Owens could go back-to-back here. He won, of course, here last year. He'd been so close before. Owens has found speed at just the right time. Of course, last week he had a podium finish in the World 100. He's had some second half of the season wins, a lot of speed. This is one of his favorite racetracks. Don't be surprised on Saturday night that 20 car from Tennessee's not back in victory lane.
And the man you can never count out, you say his name, Bloomquist.
Well, Scott, there again, Scott's won this race a couple of times. He's one of 3 drivers to win it more than once. Of course, he, Brian Burkhalter, and Mike Marlar. But he, again, just like Brandon Shepard, did not have the weekend he wanted at the World 100. He comes to this place, a place where he's got a lot of fans, he's got some strong roots, and he's got a lot of speed. He'll be a contender here this weekend. He's still trying to get settled back in that car after sitting out the first half of the year after having the motorcycle wreck during bike week down in Daytona. But he's getting back close to 100%. And, of course, he brings Chris Madden here with him. And Chris hasn't been to Knoxville in several years. Good to see him back here. He's going to be a driver we're going to watch this weekend as well.
Yeah. And then you have the rookies that never seen this.
Well, yeah, you got guys like that. I mean, that's the cool thing about coming to Knoxville. You see some of these rookies come in that have never been here. Of course, the leading rookie of the year actually got his first ever Knoxville win a year ago tonight, Tyler Erb. Tyler had never won at Knoxville. He came in last year. He won on Thursday night. That team needs a win. They haven't had a win since July. They've had a lot of bad luck. He loves Knoxville. Knoxville's a throttle masher, get up and let her eat kind of racetrack. Tyler Erb's a guy that likes to mash the throttle and let her eat. So I think Tyler's going to be one to watch this weekend. Of course, Devin Moran back in action here this weekend after sitting out last weekend at the World because his brother Tristan was getting married. So top 2 rookies are going to be ones to watch this weekend. Devin has not found victory lane on the tour yet this year. Only 1 win on the year, and that came in unsanctioned action. So Devin's going to be one hungry to get a win. And, what better place to do it than here at Knoxville?
Yeah, and then Berkey's supposed to be entered.
Yeah, Brian Burkhalter, he's going to be here in the Rowan Motorsports entry. He's going to be back in the 15B. And, of course, a few years ago, he had one of the most memorable victories in all history here at Knoxville. That final lap charges Bloomquist had a mechanical failure. Yeah. Burkhalter charges to the lead, to the win. His second Knoxville title, and, of course, that night in victory lane, retires. He retires. But guess what? A couple of years later, 3 years later or so, he's back here. He's going to be looking for another one. And, Brian's still shaking the rust off from not racing much this year. One thing I can tell you, he will get as loud an ovation and applause from that grandstands as anybody in the pit area.
Yeah, and speaking of some of the Iowa guys that are here, the Simpsons get big.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Chris and Chad, of course, brothers. Chris had a tough weekend last week at the World. He missed the finale. Conversely, Chad, he started deep in the field, charged to a top 10 finish in the Larry Mooring Motorsports #1. So that was a very big deal for Chad. Chad and Chris, obviously a ton of fans here. Chad won here on a prelim a few years ago. And, they don't get to race in Iowa very often. So to get to run in Iowa, especially Knoxville Raceway, that's something they don't take lightly. And you can rest assured those 2 guys are going to bring their A game here all weekend.
And another guy who could be interesting, Ricky Thornton, every time he runs.
That's right. I mean, Ricky just became the 5th different driver to win a Super Nationals title in more than one division. He won last week in the Cooney Motorsports entry. He won the late model race on Monday, finished second in the modified race at the end of the week. He's got 41 wins this year. Think about that, across like 4 divisions. And he told me his goal at the start of the year was to get 50 wins. Well, we're just here in mid-September. I think he's going to have a really good chance to do that. But Ricky's real fired up. He's in the Todd Vicky Burns SSI Motorsports entry that normally Chad Stapleton's in, and Chad drove it last week at the World, but it's going to be Ricky Thornton Jr. here this weekend. And, of course, Ricky came here last year as Hudson O'Neill was out with his shoulder surgery. So Ricky's got some laps around here in a super late model. And, he's from Chandler, Arizona, but he lives in Clive, Iowa now. He's got a lot of fans here in the Hawkeye State.
Yeah, and he's everywhere.
He is everywhere. And if I had a race car and I needed a driver, he would be the first person that I would call because he is a true real man. He's going to let it all hang out this weekend. Very excited to be here. And I didn't realize the way the geography works. Where he lives in Clive is only about 20 minutes from here. So he's enjoying a home game of sorts here this weekend.
Yeah, and then another just announced that was coming, Brian Harris.
Yeah, Brian Harris. Well, he's going to be, ironically, in the car that Ricky Thornton Jr. has driven some, the Doug Curlis Motorsports entry, scheduled to be here in car number 39 this weekend. Of course, Harris, the Davenport, Iowa driver, storied history for that competitor, and he's got a lot of fans too. I believe we saw him last year here at this event, and it kind of caught my eye and my ear to the applause he got when he pulled onto the racetrack. And you don't always think about Iowa, much past in the past 15 years or so, much past guys like the Simpsons or Brian Burkhoff in the super late model scene. But Brian Harris is a guy that's won not only in supers, he's won in IMCA late models, he's won in different spec divisions. He's a guy that really has quite the resume, and it's cool to see him back here this weekend. Glad that Doug Curlis put him in that race car.
Yeah, and then Moyer.
Yeah, Billy Moyer Jr. is going to be here. I don't know that the big Billy's going to be here this weekend. He had entered, but they're kind of chasing their program right now, and indications were that he may race in Texas this weekend. So, but yeah, Moyer Jr., he's a driver in desperate need of a good run. He's 12th right now in the Lucas Oil standings. It's been a tough year for that driver, and confidence is a little bit low right now. He's always loved Knoxville, but Moyer Jr. has never had luck here. So hopefully his love and his luck will become one and the same here this weekend.
And then you have some of the outlaw guys. There's no racing for them.
That's right. I know Chase Younghands is going to be here this weekend. Expecting Dennis Erb Jr. to be here. Of course, we talked about Brandon Shepard, and then we'd be remiss not talking about Ricky Weiss, the year that he's had, and then Shane Clanton as well here with his teammate Tyler Bruning. Of course, that team based out of Iowa. So Tyler Bruning, the Decorah, Iowa driver, and his father Greg Bruning. Right after the Dream, Chris Madden left that ride. Shane Clanton stepped into it. So an Iowa-based team with one Iowa driver and a Georgia-based driver in those cars here this weekend.
And you never know who's going to be the Cinderellas.
You never do. I think Ricky Weiss is going to be one to watch here this weekend. Ricky's come painfully close to some big wins this year. Last week at Eldora, he was back on the podium, finished in the third spot. He's going to be looking for some big time here this weekend. And Chase Younghands, the Kansas racer in car 18. He's had good runs here before. He's never had as much momentum, as much confidence as he brings here this weekend, though. And we're going to see if Younghands can maybe surprise a few folks and get at least a prelim win.
And then T-Mac McCready.
Yeah, Tim's having a good year right now. Year started a little bit slow. He didn't necessarily have the weekend he won last week at Eldora, but he's picked up speed during the second half of the year. And McCready, of course, has won here in thrilling fashion before the last lap pass. So he's a former Lucas Oil Late Model Knoxville Nationals champion.
Yeah. Tonight's Dirt on Dirt and tomorrow night.
That's right. Tonight and tomorrow night, you can go to dirtondirt.com and watch. And then on Saturday night, it's going to be on the Lucas Oil Racing TV app. So we split the weekend up with those guys. We do Thursday, Friday, and they do Saturday because they'll be live on their app, and then they'll also be filming for a future airing. So yeah, you go to dirtondirt.com tonight and tomorrow night. Every lap of every race, we've got multiple announcers, we've got multiple cameras, all kinds of cool stuff. We're going to bring you every angle of Knoxville Raceway.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break. We'll have more in a few minutes. We'd like to thank our guests for joining on this edition, and Shelton and Chris. Also, be sure to have our Facebook page. And thanks as always for listening, and go to your local dirt track to support them.
Thanks for listening to another edition of the Racing Podcast.